We are at the coast. We are taking a deep dive. Please put on your scuba wear. Put it on. Put it on. I can't see you putting it on. Where's your oxygen? Where is your oxygen? Where are your goggles? Where are your flippers? Yes. Very good. I can see we are together. We are taking a deep dive to understand what the people have said. Many speakers have spoken here since yesterday. They have spoken, but what are the people saying? What is the voice of the people? What feedback do they have? So let's take a deep dive. Come along this journey. My name is Gathuru. I am representing ICX. This survey was commissioned by ICX in partnership with Custometrics, and we have Akshay Shah. Please say hi to the people and tell them something small about why you're standing here this morning. Over to you, Akshay.
Hi, morning everyone. So the reason why I'm standing here is I am actually a PADI qualified diver. So hence the theme, right? No, but I'm really passionate about customer experience, employee experience, and all things experience. And we're going to deep dive into some of these things. Some of these things may shock you. Some of these things may not come as a surprise. But let's hear. So Carol, why don't we kick off?
All right. So we are underwater. We are taking a deep dive. We are in the sea, right there. Our Ugandan peoples from the Pearl of Africa who have no shoreline, this is how we do it when we have a shoreline. Are we together? Let's take a deep dive into the sea. What are we diving into? We are diving into why did we do this? Why did we do this? Always start with why. We wanted to determine key metrics and alignment of EX to CX. Many surveys have been done on employee engagement. Many customer experience surveys have been done. But to link EX and CX, which is our theme this year, and which Sheila has spoken about very powerfully this morning, is what we needed to do and put it all together. What is the correlation? Is there one at all? And if it is there, how deep is it? How wide is it? How long is it? How short is it? Is it a circle? Is it a square? Is it a triangle? Is it an octagon? Is it a pentagon? What is it? What is that relationship? Our employees, what perception do they have about customer experience? We can preach all we want, but what are the people saying about customer experience? We also wanted to look at emerging issues, culture, leadership, inclusion. We wanted to look at numbers. What is the employee effort score? How much effort are we making as a number? Employee net promoter score. What are employees saying about how they feel about where they work? Employee satisfaction. So we have ESAT, we have employee NPS, we have employee effort score. 3 numbers we will talk about this morning, and then tie them all together. We also want to contribute to the body of knowledge because we have done significant research. Custometrics, which Akshay represents, and ICX looked for surveys on the employee experience and customer experience relationship. We looked everywhere. We could only find global studies. Where are the African studies? Where are the Kenyan studies? If we don't document it, it doesn't exist. And so we wanted to contribute to the body of knowledge. Very important. So now let's approach. Remember, we are in the deep seas. Are we together? Are we in the deep seas? Yes, I can see we are in the deep seas. We are approaching a shoal of fish. Because what we want to unveil this morning is a shoal of fish. Not a kettle of fish, a shoal of fish. And so we are approaching the shoal of fish. What did this survey bring up? The survey brought up very interesting things. And we've batched them into 4 main themes: a stronger focus on employee experience, better alignment with customer experience, stronger culture. We've been talking about culture since yesterday, and aspirational leadership. There are heavy leaders in the room. There are light leaders in the room. There are all kinds of leaders in the room. We will talk about that. So these are the 4 areas we want to look at this morning. And we want to say this. When we went out to look at the voice of the people, what are people saying? And how we designed this tool was in a manner that they removed their usual selves and put on their hat that would give them the opportunity to speak and speak with a lot of confidence and speak from the bottom of their hearts. For example, one of the questions we asked, unusual question, if you were the CEO for a day, we've been talking about being a CEO here from yesterday, what would you do immediately? We scrolled through thousands of comments. And you know, in customer experience and employee experience, it's the qualitative that really matters. The quantitative matters very much. You can take a scale, on a scale of 0 to 5, on a scale of 1 to 10. You can take a scale, but by the time you pen down a comment and you type it and you write it down, you are really feeling it. And so we looked at close to 1,000 comments that people had commented and commented, some to the extreme left and some to the extreme right. And this is what came through. And we'll be sharing with you some of those in verbatim format. So let's look at this. Akshay will look at EX, I will look at CX, Akshay will look at culture, and I will look at leadership. So what's happening from here? We are getting closer because EX requires that you move closer. Can you see we are moving closer? We are getting closer and closer. Akshay, take it away.
Thanks, Carol. So this quote from one of the respondents really resonated with this theme. And I'm just going to read it for you. As an organization that deals with customers, we need to put in more effort on providing those exceptional customer experiences. This starts with ensuring employees are happy and satisfied. Right? There's no CX without EX. And comments like this really brought it to life. So, what are some of the big things that came out? Right? We're going to start unpacking this as we go along. One of the big things that really stood out is that organizations don't really understand their employee segments. And Mary spoke to some of this yesterday, right? Your traditional banks, do they understand the guys coming out of university don't want to wear their formal suits and sit in an office from 9 to 5? They rather dress like me and work at a fintech, right? So, what are organizations doing to understand now for the various segments you have in place, what are their value systems? What are their needs? And critically, how do you make them tick? How do you get the most out of those employees? Another big thing that came out is that while organizations are very good at running voice of customer surveys, the voice of employee is not heard as often. So, and this speaks to 2 parts. One, employees want channels, fora for them to talk about their concerns, talk about their challenges. But equally, they also want to provide feedback. How can we make this company more successful? We've got some ideas that we think will work, but we don't have anywhere to bring them up to the decision makers. And that's where this bit comes in. So pretty much most of the respondents said that, we're really vested in the company, we really want it to succeed, we want to take part in the decision making, but we want to feel empowered to do so. In my company, it's not safe to take risks, right? And therefore, I do not contribute. So these were the things that were coming out. So again, within your organizations, how are you tapping into this positive vibe that the employees are saying that, look, I really want to take part, but just empower me, give me a safe environment to help the business succeed. DEI. Now, a lot of strides being made in this space, and Luck told us about some of the wonderful things that Unilever is doing, especially for female staff, but there's still more to be done. And we'll unpack this a bit later on. This has come across as a very strong thing, appreciation and recognition. And it's the simple thing of somebody being told, you've done a great job. Right? I don't need an award, I just need to be told, you've contributed, you're doing well, I love it. Right?
Right.
And I think Team Bazooka has some ideas on this, right? So if you guys are stuck, you can just approach any of the team members and figure out how we're going to do this. Now, attached to being empowered, being recognized, I also want to grow within the company. Now, again, I'm utilizing Lux's story, but within your companies, do you have these growth plans for your employees? The roadmaps? Does an employee know this is what I need to do to move on to the next level of my career, right? How are you providing mentorship to your employees, even if it's helping them run their side hustle better, right? How are you giving them those training opportunities, whether it's internal or external? And I think tied to all this is around communication, right? A lot of respondents said that, we just appreciate if our organizations can just communicate with us more openly and more transparently, right? We're told at a very high level, this is what the company strategy is about, but I don't know how that translates into my day job, right? I don't know what the company is doing, how are we moving forward, involve me by communicating to me openly. So let's look at some of the hard numbers. So based on all the respondents, ENPS came to 23. Now you might say, okay, that's not too bad. It's positive, it's a step in the right direction. But let's peel back the layer. So we're diving a bit deeper now. You can say this guy is almost doing a free dive.
Yes.
So this score made up of 47% promoters, 29% passives, 24% detractors. Is anybody alarmed by this? This is very scary because what this is telling you is that over 50% of the respondents have no emotional attachment to the organizations that they're working with. Right? That's a hard story. Over 50% have no emotional attachment to the companies that they're working in. Your passive population, that 30%. These are the guys who are coming into work but are mentally checked out. They're the quiet quitters. Okay? Your 24%, now these are guys who would actually be pretty disruptive and even destructive to your organization. They can impact the culture within your organization. They can impact the morale. And they can just bring everybody down. You start dropping in inclusion, engagement, productivity, and guess what? Your CFO's going to cancel your training programs because you've got no money. And also what this means is that you're basically providing your employees a free co-working space. You're giving them tea, coffee, mandazis, electricity, internet for them to run their side hustle in your company premises. So let's take some sound bites. So from one of the promoters, a very comfortable working environment. We address issues almost immediately, conclusively, and we feel free to put our best foot forward. How many of you would like to work in this kind of an organization? From the passives, my organization is good, just that the work-life balance isn't balancing. The work-life balance isn't balancing. This feels like something that came from the COVID era, where people are working from home, but they were made to work 18 hours a day. And I think that culture then kind of just continued. Now, from the detractors, there were a lot of very dysfunctional comments, crazy targets, threats, no work-life balance. We're going to unpack some of the dysfunctional issues a bit later on. Now again, let's take a look by some of the survey lenses we set up. So I'd mentioned companies still have challenges around inclusion. So if we look at the NPS from a gender perspective, the female respondents had an ENPS of 15. Male respondents had an ENPS of 31. What does this mean? Is this because the companies are not providing enough opportunities for the females? Are women being shunned out of roles that they should be? Are they not being provided enough growth opportunities to challenge for those roles usually dominated by males? Right? So red flag. Next layer. This is looking at from an age group perspective. You know who that 18 to 25-year-old segment is, right?
Yes.
The Gen Zs. Yeah, and Mary talked about this again. NPS of 0. Now, Dr. Julius talked about the way workplaces have evolved, right? From provision of utility all the way to providing engaged employee experiences. Now, if you look at the right-hand side of this scale, your boomers, your 56 plus, are having a great time at their workplaces. So, does this mean that your workplaces haven't evolved for the last 30, 40 years? Right? So those wazes who are sitting there are fine. The younger guys like, what the hell am I doing here? And another interesting lens that we looked at was, what is the variation based on the role that you're doing in your company? And again, some startling analysis or insights coming out. So your big decision makers, leadership execs saying, yeah, we're doing a pretty good job, employee experience is great, but guess what? The Wanjikus on the ground are saying otherwise. And this is very interesting because, and you guys as customer experience professionals know this, there's been a number of studies that have shown this perception gap, that companies think they're providing their customers with a great experience, customers say otherwise. Now it's exactly the same thing. The leaders within your organization saying, our place is really cool to work at, people are going saying, it ain't. So again, this all ties back to how do you understand what kind of experiences you're given to various segments, and how do you pull all this together? Now, on ESAT. So employee satisfaction, we looked at a number of different dimensions. So things like engagement, how meaningful is my job? Do I feel like I'm actually contributing to the company? ESG, so how do I feel about the way my organization commits or is committed to environmental, societal, governance causes? Teamwork, how do I fit in my team? Am I part of a high-performing team? Do I feel valued as a team member? Inclusion, we've talked about. Well-being, so this came out as a big issue. Empowerment and growth. Now, overall ESAT, 3.6, or if you're a percentages person, 73%, right? So it's in the average. It's kind of in the neutral zone, passives. We've got some areas that are kind of doing well, probably need a bit of push to get them to that 4 or that 80% zone. But inclusion, we've talked about, right? Gender bias, age bias, role bias. Well-being, a lot of things have come out of this, right? Physical well-being, emotional well-being. So, how often do people in your organizations check in? Do they make sure that, my colleagues, my team members are well hydrated with the sunny water, for example? How empowered are we making our employees, right? And really, this bit around growth, training, and bringing people up to the next level is really, really lacking. Now, these are some of the detailed questions. I'm not going to go through each of them, but I just want to draw out some of the big things. The valued, being appreciated and being valued at work is one of the big things, right? And again, it's come out a number of times over this conference. Being empowered to take decisions in a safe environment. The work-life balance that isn't balancing. Mental wellness, physical wellness support. And inclusion. Carol, anything to add to that?
Yes, I just want to talk about feeling valued and appreciated at work. From yesterday, we've been talking about appreciating people, valuing them, causing them to be seen, felt, heard, important. We need to do this every single day. We need not wait for employee of the year, employee of the quarter, employee of the month. This needs to be every single day. Our employee recognition programs need to be every single day, every hour, any moment. We need to catch our people doing the right thing. We need to have instant praise. We need to have it as business as usual. And we need to know and understand the language of appreciation for our people. Does my team member appreciate gifting? Does my team member appreciate words of affirmation? Does my team member appreciate acts of service? Should I help them with their report? Does my team member appreciate physical touch? Should I high five them, give them a thumbs up, shake their hands? What should I do? Does my team member appreciate quality time? Let's go and sit down and have a cup of tea. Talk to me. The people you're reporting to upwards, what's their language? The people you're reporting to downwards, what's their language? The people we are reporting to laterally, what's their language? That is every single day. And our people are saying that. It's the lowest score. We are not feeling it. We are not feeling it. We need to do better. Akshay?
So, Carol, we did a lot of research on how EX ties up to CX.
Yeah.
What were some of the big findings that came out of that?
Big findings here. Big findings.
What's the big fish?
And because we are talking about alignment with CX, EX to CX alignment, we are moving up. We are moving up. Can you see we are moving up, guys? Let's move up. This is from the horse's mouth, from the people's mouth. It is so gratifying that my work has the potential to impact the lives of so many people. However, and when someone says however, I would want to see much more investment in CX. Much more investment. So what are our people saying? Moving on up, what are our people saying? That they want a customer-centric and employee-first culture. This is what our people want. Customer centricity and employee-first. Internal, external customer. What are our people saying? That we need to align EX and CX. It's not aligning. It's not aligning, and we're getting to that right now. The numbers will show us that it's not aligning. We say it is, but it isn't. What else are people saying? Data. Data, technology, we've talked about this from yesterday. We've seen great presentations. We have AI in the room. We've been told we must do things in a manner that's progressive. That's what our people are saying. Actually, in customer experience excellence, we don't say data is the new oil like everybody else. We say data is oxygen. Can you live without oxygen? Can you exist without oxygen? Customer data is oxygen. That's what our people are saying. What else are people saying? That we need active voice of the customer programs. Active voice of the customer programs. And let's make this every day. Let's not wait for a big survey. Let's consistently ask our customers, how have I served you? How are our products? How are we doing? What do we need to do better? What are we doing well that we must consistently sustain all the time, every time? And we want speed and responsiveness. This is what the survey has brought. Let's look at this alignment, or is it misalignment? And to do that, let's look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. Numbers tell stories. Numbers are the msema kweli. This is a survey, a global survey, because we must benchmark. We cannot be in a bubble. We can't be doing the state of EX to CX in Kenya and not looking out. This is a global survey by Salesforce and IDC that was done last year. This is what it says. Employee experience, 66% feel that employee experience and CX are aligned. 42 talk about technology, but look at the CX side, 85 and 88. The numbers are not numbering. The numbers are not numbering. Let's move on. Right. This same EX, CX, our people are saying that they very well understand, look at the green, that EX affects CX. That's the truth. People are saying it's the truth. They are going ahead to say that more emphasis is placed on CX external than EX. Look at the green. So we know EX is important to CX, But we are saying that in our organizations, more emphasis is put on CX than EX. Misalignment? And then this is where the rubber meets the road. Active investment in EX improvement. The green is not greening there. So we need to marry, we've been saying this entire conference, let's marry EX and CX. Let's make sure there's alignment between EX and CX. Our people on the ground, and we surveyed them. We asked 28 questions. That's a lot for a survey. We thought about survey fatigue. Will people be fatigued? But if you don't ask a variety of questions, it narrows your focus and you don't get real results. And so therefore we encouraged people, we persuaded them, we influenced them, we incentivized them with smiles and nice images and texts. Please fill this, it is important to you. 28 questions. Right. Where does this take us? Where does this take us? These are hard numbers. We're not looking at all of them. We will send you this. But let's look at the bottom. At the bottom. Not nice, not nice, my people. Recognition framework for staff who demonstrate great customer service. It's at the bottom. We are not celebrating good CX enough. Internal CX, external CX. We have said that celebration in the manner that Team Indomitables, can I hear the Indomitables in the room? That's how we need to celebrate. Every day. Somebody does something, we sing. We are all DJs. Our phones have great music. Put it on. Let's dance in the office. And dance for that person and cheerlead them. We don't need big budgets for that. Actually, we have been inherently gifted. We are so rich with affirmation. It comes from the sound of our voices, doesn't it? We don't need budget for that. So there's a misalignment there. Culture. We were told that strategy without culture is DOA. Who remembers DOA? Can I hear you? Yes. Akshay, is it dead on arrival? Do you want to tell us?
Well, let's find out. I'd mentioned that a lot of respondents had some really dysfunctional issues in their workplace. So many remain trapped in toxic work environments, thinking that the environment will change or they will change the environment, not realizing the toll it is taking on their mental and emotional well-being. Now, what did the respondents say needs to be done better from a culture perspective? In order for employees to perform better, internally, externally, being able to talk freely, simplification of organizations came out as a really big thing. How do we flatten the hierarchies? How do we reduce dual reporting lines? The solids versus the dots. I think a lot of you are nodding, you know what I mean. How do we reduce this bureaucracy to get decisions done? Do I really need to sit in 10 meetings to get one decision made, or would an email have sufficed? And then, tied to that simplification, right? How do we break down silos? How do we get people to actually talk to one another? Because that's where the innovation happens, right? As Luck had mentioned. So how do we make it easy for people to share ideas? How do we pass on that inherent knowledge within the organization? And how do we get people just to contribute and work together for better ideas for the business? Now, accountability, very much linked to empowerment. And this, there's two parts to this. So one, the respondent said that we need our leaders to be more accountable. So that's one. But secondly, they also said, actually hold me accountable as well. I want to contribute to the success of the company, empower me, and then hold me accountable. But do it on meritocracy. Do you guys know what meritocracy means?
Yes.
Yeah? Don't use favoritism. and all these other toxic words. We're going to come on to some of these. But based on what I have contributed, that tangible thing, make decisions on that and undertake your performance evaluations, appraisals, etc., based on meritocracy. Let's get a more inclusive culture. So this thing around equity and inclusion, you can see it's a big theme spreading across a lot of the thematic areas. Unity and team building. Now let me ask you an honest question. If you guys ran some version of that cocktail evening within your organizations, would your organizations be a happier place? So exactly. Now, what are the simple things you can do just to get everyone on the same page and feel like they belong to one company? Because remember, when a customer comes to your brand, they're not dealing with a department. They're not dealing with a team. They're dealing with a company. So how do you get your workforce to represent that company, that image cohesively? And the last thing, for companies that are really struggling from a dysfunctional perspective, these things need to be sorted out. These are things that are causing that red population on that NPS score. Now, as part of the survey, respondents were also asked to describe their company culture in 3 words. And there are 4 big things that stood out. So, given the CX-EX misalignment, a lot of companies came out as very customer-centric. And you can actually see that's the biggest word from a culture perspective. But a lot of organizations did have a very supportive culture from an employee perspective, right? So words like friendly, collaborative, supportive, fun, caring used to describe some of those cultures. Then we had words that are probably used to describe companies that cater to those 56, 65-year-olds, those boomers. Traditional, formal, hierarchical, siloed, serious. Then we had words that really describes dynamic environments. And they don't necessarily have to be young startups. We've seen organizations that have evolved to think like a startup. So you've got words that talk about companies being dynamic, fun, innovative, forward-thinking, risk-taking, collaborative. And unfortunately, the last one, you've got words like toxic workplace, manipulative, aggressive, discriminative, threatening. Right? So those are the 4 things. So again, it's really for organizations to figure out what type of culture are they exhibiting versus, now given all your employee segments, what is the culture that they want to be working in? And how do you provide that? How do you bridge this gap? And we talk about culture eats strategy for breakfast, well actually culture eats everything. So if you guys remember, this was a survey that ICX did in 2017. Yeah. And we looked at now what are the big challenges when it comes to strategy execution in CX. And guess what's the giraffe in that chart? It's all about culture. 32% of respondents said that culture is going to be the biggest thing that makes or breaks CX implementation. So truly, if you don't have a thriving culture that's led by aspirational leadership, your company is not going to work. It's really the bedrock when it comes to employee experience and customer experience. Carol, I think you're going to tell us about that aspirational leadership.
I will. And I just want to confirm that what was said in 2017 still holds true in 2024, that indeed culture is everything.
In fact, those numbers would probably be higher if we ran the survey again.
Right. Maybe we should. Maybe we should. Let's look at aspirational leadership. This is the last part of it. This is what you've been waiting for. This is why we are here. Because we are all leaders in the room, each and every one of us. What are our people saying? Because we cannot lead from an ivory tower. We cannot lead from a bubble. We cannot lead from in front. The era of leading from in front is over. We need to lead from the center. We must be in the middle. We must be with the people. What are they saying? They are saying there is an open door policy and everyone can express themselves without fear of intimidation. Everybody is listened to. We thought this comment was just all that and more. This is goals. Hashtag goals. Am I this leader? Is my door open? Can everybody express themselves to me? Can my team member come to me and say, this is what I think, this is what I feel, without fear, without intimidation? Everyone, not just some people, everyone is listened to. This is absolute goals. What are we saying? What is ICX saying? What is the body that sets standards in this nation for customer experience excellence saying? What are we saying? Because we must live here and we must do something. The experience must be holistic. Leadership experience, employee experience, customer experience, all tied together. Please, let's go and check, let's go and audit, let's go and look, let's go and evaluate. Is this happening for us in the workplace? What else are we saying? That we must be evidence-based. Voice of the customer, voice of the employee, audit our culture. What is the to-go? Where are we now? Are we moving in the right direction? We really must do that. What else must we do? That we must be absolutely strategic. Absolutely strategic. Strategy. Empowerment, inclusion, growth. So what are the three things we are saying before we come up for air? One, we talked about the importance of the customer. When we leave here, we must have an empty chair. In every meeting, please place an empty chair and put the customer in it. If your boardroom does not have an empty chair, that's not a meeting. If your meeting room does not have an empty chair, that's not a meeting. If your Zoom meeting does not have a member that is labeled customer, that's not a meeting. Empty chair, we must do that. Otherwise, we are sitting in a meeting without the most important person. If the meeting room is full, drag in another chair. There absolutely must be an empty chair. The second thing we are saying, live here and do, is that the HR department and the customer experience department needs to be one department. Why are we two? Apart from the confidential matters that HR deals with, why are we two departments? Please go back and marry those departments. They need to be together. There is no fine line. We say there's a fine line, we are removing the line.